Hey y'all, I'm Sunny Shell, and tonight on Let's Talk, I'm going to have Oz on, and we're going to talk about angry atheists. So let's get to it.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.
Hey everyone. Hey Oz.
What up? What up?
It's been a while since we have worked together.
It has. It's good to see you. Good to hear your voice. And this is always a topic I'm looking forward to talking to. So I appreciate you guys inviting me, asking me to be here.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. For the rest of you, welcome to Let's Talk. This is the Colin Show on the Skeptic Haven channel. Let's Talk is a safe place for atheists, those questioning or leaving religion, and anyone that wants to ask questions and have respectful discussions. From the US, call us at 984 789 4787. And from outside the US, call in from your computer using the URL on the screen. So, to get started, Oz, I wanted to ask you about your interesting name on that banner. Tell me about that.
Yes. So when we first started the channel, what is it, four years ago now, with Mike and Murder Shed Steve and just Jeff. Yeah, before I switched to my childhood nickname, which is Oz, I was in the very beginning stages of that, the angry atheist, and not just angry but bitter. And I was like, no, I just want it to be out there. I'm the atheist a-hole, and y'all just need to know that. So it was a very deliberate, on purpose, and it was that like I needed people to hear me and understand why I was angry and bitter. So that's kind of the beginnings of that.
So, tell me, why were you so angry? Why were you bitter?
Well, once everything fell apart, as far as the belief, and the idea of faith, which we all know. Well, I won't say we all. If you're familiar with our channel, faith is BS. It was our moniker for a long time. And once all those things started to fall apart, one, I felt like I got duped and I got lied to, for 30 something years of my life. And then once I started to engage more with, or started to engage with Christians as a non-believer now, the amount of slaps in the face and what felt like just spitting in my face and just reducing the years of study, preparation, research, all that I did, that it was just shat on, right? Because now, well, then you never really believed. And now all of a sudden you're trying to take what was my identity for 30 something years and tell me that it was all just make believe. And it was like, do you hear what you're saying? You believe in make believe, but you're telling me that now I'm the, so it pissed me off. And that's where the bitterness, came in. And I got into, I got in a phase where it was screw all of you.
I can understand that. I can completely understand that. I think that a lot of atheist viewers can understand where you're coming from as well. I think for me, it was all of the above, except that I also had this kind of anger at the fact that everything is Christian around me. Everything. I go to work and I hear it at work. I'm on the phone and I hear, have a blessed day. Everything that I do has something with religion in it, and frankly, Christianity. I mean, I'm sure if I lived in, somewhere else, it would be a different religion, but where I'm at, it's Christianity. And where I'm living in particular is overwhelmingly Christian. And I became angry that I have to hide the fact that I'm an atheist. I am angry that I have to use
Absolutely.
Sunny Shell. And it's not that it's going to offend someone else necessarily. It's that I could lose my job. And there is this sense for those who do know that I am an atheist, which is very, very few. it's this thing where, well, you go ahead and you be, no one should tell you what you can and can't believe. But I don't want to be disrespected. And it's like, I would not disrespect. It's assuming that I'm going to disrespect them, or don't even talk to me about it. I'll ask you questions, but you can't ask me questions.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm probably skipping way ahead here now because I went through that, and then uh, we I guess we can kind of parcel this out once we kind of do a briefing on it. But then I went through a stage where it was like, okay, am I seeking to understand, right? And I went through a stage where it was I studied street epistemology, Anthony Magnabosco, like, and like for me, took my own ownership of that,
Mm,
and to have more productive conversations, so to speak. And after several years of that approach, I found myself becoming angry again because minds aren't being changed, right? And we have people looking to win a conversation or win an argument rather than having an honest conversation, an honest dialogue. And that's kind of how I've arrived where I'm at now. As far as that is, if you don't want to have the honest conversation, please just don't waste my time. It doesn't mean I don't care about you, the person. Just don't waste my time. Don't waste our time. Because if we're not walking into this like, okay, I'm willing to consider or reconsider my position based on, the data, the evidence, the facts that are presented, then why are we even doing this? And that's where I've just, and even up to present day, I've become uh not angry at people like I was, because it was a people thing before. Now it's angry because of what you're talking about, is that no matter where I go, where you go, where most of us go, especially here in the States, you can say, God bless you, let me pray for you, yada, yada, yada. And I'm supposed to be cool with that, man.
mhm.
And I'm supposed to accept that. But if I say anything to the contrary, or I even ask politely and nicely, I that's not how I view life, the world, whatever. I prefer we don't have that conversation. Please don't say those things to me. Like I don't want to talk about it. Like we are the of the world, right? Because we don't believe what they believe, and it's like part of the normalizing atheism is why I'm just I don't give a flying you know what, because if you get to be you, I get to be me, point blank. And that's the world we should live in.
I think that anyone who can do that should do that. My Oh, I'm hearing an echo all of a sudden. Okay. Um, okay, I think it's gone now. Anyway, anyone who can do that should do that, because hopefully we can, like in the chat, we can start normalizing atheism, and it's going to take people like you who can, because there's a whole heck of a lot of people like me who can't.
Oh, absolutely. And sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to make sure I'm very clear. I know that not everybody's in the position uh, to be vocal and to be out. And, even my beautiful girlfriend, Jena, it took her so long to even come out to her family, right? And I know what I went through coming out to my family. So I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, and I'm not saying that there's some people that will never even have that opportunity, because
Mhm.
you may not just built on circumstances alone. But yes, for the ones of us that whether it's the situation we're in, or our personality types or profiles that we're more like we just don't give a, and we're gonna talk about it. Yes, there needs to be more of those that will do that for those that can't talk about it, that can't have that voice. We need to be much more louder for those people.
Yep, absolutely. And really quickly, I just want to say hi, Jenna. I miss you. I miss talking with you and seeing you. She is so beautiful, on the outside as well as on the inside. And I know she's had a real struggle. There are some of us that, I mean, You talk to, Mandisa Thomas, and she will tell you it's extremely difficult in some demographics, even more so than others, to be able to come out. I'm as a, middle class white woman, it's a lot easier for me than, say, a black woman coming out. That would be very difficult. We have really quickly. Thank you, Farron Salas, for your super chat. Thanks, Sunny Oz and the Skeptic Haven crew. Well, thank you. We love you, Farron.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
So yeah, it's I think that sometimes we can those who have the ability to be out, I know that I've heard people saying, well, just be vocal, be out there, because if you're not, you're hurting other people by not being that, or you're hurting atheism by not being, and I think that's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Each of us has our own issues and our own things that we're having to go up against, and we need to be there for each other. We're a minority, and some of us are minorities in multiple ways. And you start compounding those things on, and it's like, how much more am I going to be beat down? I
Yeah.
have to survive in some way. So anyway, that's I don't think people sometimes realize, Christians really realize how difficult it can be to be the odd man out.
Yeah, and it's and what's ironic about that, and I think most of us, let's at least say the non-believers, the atheists here, how quickly and I'll say Christians specifically because we're talking about being in the States right now, how quick they are to play the victim card and talk about persecution and
Mhm.
yada yada yada. Look, look, have you ever went abroad? Have you ever went abroad? Christians in America, you don't even know what persecution means.
That's right.
Persecution to you means that somebody said you believe in a sky daddy. And I don't even use those terms. I'm trying to use a reductio here, right? And you think that that's persecution. You think that somebody's trying to beat you over the head with a comment like that, where there are people in other countries that actually do die for being a Christian. They do get beat. They do get
Right.
burnt and tortured for their belief. You don't get that here. Stop it. Stop it. Right. But in the US, in our country, like we have to worry about, we kind of talked about the little stuff, but you want to remove science and evidence from the schools. You want to take away human rights. You want to take away a woman's right to choose what and what not to do with her body. You want to take away the rights of the LGBTQ plus community, all based on your belief, right? And we're just supposed to be quiet and not have
Right.
some type of indignation, or anger towards that. Come on, we're not playing the victim card. We're saying no. You're now putting us in a corner, and we have to fight back, right? Because if we're silent, for those of us that can have the voice and have the means to do that, if we're silent, they just get to run amok, right? They just get to run amok and do whatever they want. So that's why it is important for those that can have the voice, like everywhere they go in life, not just here on YouTube, but for me, I talk about it everywhere, and I know that I'm fortunate in my situation, and I'm fortunate, and that's why I am as vocal as I can be about it. Because not to beat a dead horse, but if all of us are quiet, even the ones that don't have to be, the bad ideas, the bad beliefs, they spur and motivate people's actions, right? So we have to keep those in check. We have to hold them accountable.
Absolutely. And I want to say, if you are a Christian watching this, we're not bashing you as a person. We really are not. This is not a let's all bash Christians time.
Mm,
What we're using this time for is to share our perspective, which doesn't get to be shared very often. So we can absolutely respect you as a person. We don't have to respect your ideology. We don't have to respect your views. And if we don't respect your views, that doesn't mean we don't respect you. And I want to make that clear. I mean, I know there's people in my life right now who are like, they don't want to talk about anything that goes against their views. No one's forcing you. If you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. I don't want to talk about it with you, and it's not a bad thing. I will respect you. But then at the same time, recognize that your ideology, your views are everywhere, and it sometimes becomes frustrating that I can't ever say anything. That, and I'll tell you another thing that frustrates me, and I know it frustrates a lot of other, atheists, is that when we say that we're angry, we didn't leave our and you touched on this actually earlier, Oz. We did not leave religion because someone at the church did something bad to us. They may have, that happens, but that's not why you leave your belief. You leave your belief because you don't have enough credible evidence to believe. That's it. You can't choose what you believe and what you don't believe. You can't force yourself or pretend to believe something. And once you have lost that, you've lost it. And then it becomes there's this internal struggle of both living in this society that is hyper Christian and being able to be who you are as a human. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's like for me, because a lot of people say, because I growing up essentially a PK, a pastor's kid, I saw the BS that was out in front of everybody, but I also saw the worst of it, the BS that was happening behind the scenes that most others didn't see. Could have some of those negative things that I saw or that I experienced myself, could that have been the catalyst to create the question marks or turn on that light bulb? Absolutely. Absolutely. It could have been the catalyst, but it's not the reason I walked away. So that's
Right.
first and foremost. I didn't walk away because of the personal experience with another human, right? It was those experiences and those situations and moments made me question the validity of the belief, the validity of the faith, the accuracy of the text, and are we reading this and doing this the right way? Which now I know what is the right way. That's a whole nother conversation, right? But the other thing I'll add to that is, as much as yes, if you are a believer, Christian, Muslim, whatever, no, it's not never a personal attack. But I'll be blunt. I don't respect your belief at all. None. Not a single part of it. I
Yep.
do respect you, and I expect the same. Hopefully, I can get away with damn because the F word almost came out. I, s- I, I deserve the same damn respect that I'm trying to give to you. I deserve the same thing in return. And just because I don't believe what you believe does not mean you get to talk to me a certain way, treat me a certain way, or the ones around me that are my friends, my community, my now adopted family, so to speak. That doesn't mean you get away with just talking wild and reckless and not get checked and not be held accountable. So if I'm going to respect you, the human, no matter what you believe, all I ask for is the same thing in return. That's all I want.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, really quickly for everyone, we would really love to take your calls. Right now, we have all lines open. Um, if you're a Christian, call in. Tell us how your perspective. We won't be angry at you. I promise. I think we're both pretty cool people. We're not going to bite. I promise. We would love to hear your viewpoint. But if you are an atheist and you are feeling some of those things that we tend to feel when we hear like-minded people, this is a safe place. And so please feel free to call in and give us your perspective. Maybe tell us your experiences.
Mhm.
Where are you right now as far as your journey? If you are um, kind of on the fence, you're just starting that deconstruction, and you're nervous or whatever, talk to us. We're here for you. We want to have a conversation with you regardless. Another thing that I think is interesting, or not interesting, that's a reason why um, you'll see a lot of angry atheists is because of the encroachment on, like you talked about earlier, the encroachment on our rights, like you talked about before.
Mhm.
Especially for me is the not just the stripping of women's reproductive rights or the demonization of the LGBTQIA plus population, but also the insidious ways that religion is getting into our public school system.
Yep.
That to me is extremely frustrating because now I'm a little bit older, so my little ones are no longer little. They're starting their senior year of high school. So I don't have to worry so much about that anymore. But it was very, mm, it created a lot of anger in me when my kids would come home and say that, show me up these flyers that were going around by these, advertising these Bible studies after school, that everybody's going to, and you get pizza, everybody gets free pizza and everybody else is going. Why can't I go? And it's like, that makes it very difficult as a parent. Just like they don't want us to influence their kids. Dude, don't be trying to influence mine.
Absolutely. And that's what I was alluding to earlier as well. As you, it's it's BS, man. It's BS that they can, yeah, they can literally almost do anything that they, or sorry, say anything they want to say in regards to faith and heaven and hell and you're this and you're that because you don't believe this, and not even understanding, because there's a huge disconnect, with the Christian community, or let's just say the faithful community, the disconnect on the level of abuse and trauma that those things cause, especially when you get to do it and there are no ramifications, there are no penalties. You just get to do it because you have that privilege because you live in a Christian nation. Again,
Mhm.
talking about the U.S., you can literally do it and get away with it. But as soon as we push back, they expect us to be silent. Like, you don't get to have a voice because you're not part of the majority, right? You're not part of the team, the family, whatever it is that that they term it to be. But and it still goes back down to the respect thing. If all of us are in this country are supposed to have a voice and the ability to speak, then let us speak. Why do you get so butthurt that we want people to have equal rights, that we want people to be loved and treated fairly? You don't have to love, but treated fairly. Why does that hurt you so bad? If you believe in a book that you're supposed to treat your neighbor better than yourself, you're supposed to take care of the people around you, to love your neighbor more than yourself, why are you so mad that we, the non-believers, want people to be treated equally and to be loved? Why are you upset?
Mhm.
Please tell me.
I would love to hear that too. Um, you were as you were talking, it just kind of struck me. So it's not only that, it's kind of it's infiltrated every aspect of our lives, but there's also a privilege. There's a privilege that they enjoy that is beyond the privilege that I think we even think about sometimes. I work in child maltreatment. There are some things that you are able to do as a Christian that you're not necessarily able to do in any other context. For instance, Jehovah's Witnesses, they do not believe in blood transfusions.
Right.
In my mind, making that decision for your child, if your child is sick and a blood transfusion would save their life, not providing that to them is massive child abuse. Why are they able to get by with that? If I was to withhold medical treatment to my child, that is a form of abuse, and you can
Absolutely.
have the child protective services and law enforcement start investigating you. For medical maltreatment. Why in the world are Jehovah's Witnesses or any, or other religions able to do that sort of thing to their kids? And that is an absolute life and death issue. So
100.
there's a level of um, privilege that goes beyond the regular sort of privilege that we talk about.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's hard for me to put it's crazy and disgusting and totally mind-blowing when you really think about it, the things that religion, at least the organizations cloaked in religion, maybe that's the fairest way to say it. The organizations cloaked in religion, what they can get away with blows my mind. And yeah, if you're a Catholic listening right now or later, I'm going there. Like what they get away with, in the name of religion, literally anytime I think about it, makes me want to vomit. It makes me want to vomit, not just in my mouth, but like projectile. It's like case after case after case after case after case after case. And it's just poo-pooed and shoved under the rug. Why? Religion, power, and money.
Mhm.
But we're just supposed to sit here, Sonny, as the atheists, as the non-believers. We're supposed to be here, just sit here, smile, just smile, and either pretend that it's not happening, or be a part of the problem because we don't push back, because we don't say anything, right? And no, I'm sorry, religious folks. Like those days, you can look at the Pew research reports and results. Those days are it's slow, but those days are coming to an end where you just get to run amok.
Right. Yep. So we actually have a caller. And let's see how this goes. We are going to be talking. It's just YouTuber,
Christian.
ultimated, Judeo Christian. And hello, ultimated. I guess that's what I'll call you. The call screener says that the video title is onto-theologically contradictory. Interesting. Tell me what you mean by that.
Yes, because atheism presupposes theism, so people may self-proclaim to be atheistic, but everyone has faith in God because God is an ultimate fact, revealingly.
Yeah, okay. As soon as you started talking, I knew who this was. Um, okay, so oh boy.
Can I be blunt right now? Is this the Jesus making love guy?
No, no.
Oh, okay.
This
Yes.
is
Oh, he said yes.
oh, okay. Okay. I've heard him several times on all the other atheist call-in shows. Now I didn't know that he was also that person, so that's interesting. And I don't even know where to go with this. The problem is that when you make these types of claims, which they're claims, anytime that someone tries to push back or try to explain in a rational and calm and friendly manner, you're not getting it. You just don't get it. And I'm not exactly sure where we can go with this. I really don't. I don't know where we can go with it. What does it have to do with being an angry atheist or with the you said, let's see, you said the video title is onto-theologically contradictory, and I really don't get that. I don't what does it have to do with the title, with what you're saying? What does it have to do with anything?
May your question is informally fallacious because you have philosophically gish-galloped with over 2 points, So to address the first point, I'm not making claims as I'm speaking the truth by definition. God
That's a
is
claim.
revealing the ultimate truth.
That's a claim.
It's not. God is an ultimate fact.
That's a claim.
It's not, because a claim can be an opinion. God is, in actuality, an ultimate fact.
Prove it.
So I can't.
Exactly.
God has revealed himself to be the creator of creation. For us to know we are created, we have to revealingly reference our Heavenly Father as that creator.
I can reference Santa Claus, and I don't believe that Santa Claus is real either. That makes no sense.
May you have committed a category error, because Santa Claus would be a finite being. So you can claim ignorance to finite beings, but in the case of God, you can't, assuming that you're mindful, because God is an ultimate fact, revealingly.
Okay, so can I jump in here real quick?
No,
So,
please do.
so there's angry atheists and there's other atheists that are just completely entertained. This is one where I'm completely entertained, and because I'm not on my platform, I'm on others' platform. I'm gonna be way more nice than I normally be. We're talking to a gentleman right now that claims to have sexual relationship with Jesus. Okay, and he wants to call in and talk about fallacious argumentations, category errors, yada yada yada, but can't demonstrate the same Jesus he claims to make love to. So this is where this is actually a great call, because there are the callers and there are the believers that absolutely drive us up the wall, right? And then the other one that I just sit back and I kick back and I listen. I'm entertained because you want to talk about fallacious reasoning. You want to confront Sonny on being fallacious, yet you claim to make love to Jesus Christ and can't even demonstrate he exists. Please, can we get is there a laugh button right now? Is there a laugh button? We need a laugh
I
button.
know Wes has one. I'm sure he has one.
Like, come on, man. That's all I have to say. This is a joke.
It is. I agree. It's pre-sup taken to a whole other level, and the problem is, the thing is, I would love to actually have a conversation with you if you were able to have a conversation. But you've proven on all of the other shows that you've been on that you don't really want to have a conversation. You don't want to do anything but make these claims, and that's it. So if I will give you one more chance and then we're going to move on. If you can tell me how it is that you've come across this belief. You say that God is, how can you how do you know that God is real? Just tell me that. How do you know? Prove to me, and I will believe you if you can prove it to me. Prove it to me right now that God is real.
I've typed out your question. May I respond to Oz briefly?
Sure.
Before...
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh God.
I'm not. My relationship with Jesus is not just a baseless claim. God has revealed to me that I am an ultimated Judeo-Christian. So, without going into detail, God and I have a sexual relationship. I haven't experienced the full sexual pleasure of.
No, you don't. No, you don't. This is ridiculous. No, you don't. Nobody's having sex with God. Nobody's having. Stop it. Stop it.
I am.
No. Okay.
can
Do you have
too.
video? Do you have video? Can we put it up on Pornhub? Can we put it on OnlyFans? Like, do you have video of this? Like, how do? Again, like, we just need evidence. You can't even get evidence for the God, but now you want us to believe you're having sex with God?
Yes, you have
Just
to believe
let's
me.
be
I
let's
can't. For you to know, you would
just
have
can we be
to
done with
reach
this
out
one?
to God
Can we
or
be
get
done with
help.
this one?
Yeah. I,
I hope your God wears a condom. That's all I'm gonna say.
I will say this before I let you go. The the one thing I am concerned about is that there may be some mental health issues, and I think it would I neither of us can provide mental health care to you or make any assist in any way. I don't want anything that I say to make that worse. So what I will say is please get some help. Please talk to a licensed therapist. Um, the Psychotherapy Project would be great. I don't know that you that you would call them, but I would definitely try that. You need to get some help if you actually believe that you're having a sexual relationship with Jesus. That doesn't make any sense. It also goes against the Bible, what the Bible says, because that's not what Christianity. It's just so far out there. It's way far out there. So please get some help and have a great rest of your day. I don't even know what to say other than that.
And look, I hate laughing, but again, there's some that it's like, yeah, it'll frustrate you. Other ones like, oh, maybe that makes sense. Maybe I need to reconsider, go back and look. And then there's other shit where it's like, it's either again, Sonny, I appreciate you saying either you're off your fucking rocker or you're doing this for entertainment and it's pure entertainment. Like you're talking about that. Yeah. Are you not entertained?
I I can't help but to laugh. And those of you, I know a lot of you, I can see it in the chat. We've all heard him. If
Right.
you're new here and you have never heard him, just go to the Atheist Experience, go to Talk Heathen, go to but he's been on the line, I believe. Um, it's just no, no. Mm-mm.
But even with
Okay,
that, to stay on topic as far as the angry atheist thing. So imagine, Sonny, it's not you and I.
right.
Imagine this is someone that is going through to try to make at least a part of this productive of this call. Imagine we're someone just going through deconstruction, right? We've not even maybe even deconverted or walked away yet.
Hmm.
And we hear some outlandish, like absolute nonsense like that. Do you not understand, sir, that you're helping the cause? You're helping push people further away that are deconstructed. And they're like, hold on, people can read this book and actually believe that they're hooking up. They're hooking up with God or Jesus. Do you understand? Like you're helping the cause, right? Because God doesn't.
Yeah.
God's not coming down here and getting the groove on with nobody. You know what I mean? That's not happening.
Yeah. I don't even. I think the most charitable thing I can say is that he's a joke. That's if I'm being charitable, because I could say a whole lot worse. So that's the best I can do. And that's the thing. I don't want to have to, you know, if you are a Christian, please give us a call. You don't want that to be the last Christian caller in here. I mean, we have a manual on here, and my gosh, we go we go from ultimated to Emmanuel. I don't even know if are you up for Emmanuel?
Who's Emmanuel?
Well, I'll tell you what, because you don't.
Actually, don't even tell me. Serve it up. Let's eat.
Okay, all right. I will do this, but I will say this, Emmanuel. If you become or say anything that is uh, derogatory to any group of people, I will simply drop you. So we will give you a chance. Emmanuel, are you on? Do you have us on speaker?
No. I hope that you could hear me clearly.
I can. There was just a lot of background noise. So, for those of you that don't know, this is Emmanuel, he, him from Texas. He's a theist, and the screener says, "How can non-religious people live with religious people?" And I think that's a great question, which is why I'm going ahead and taking this call. I'm just letting you know, Emmanuel, because you've said things in the past that have not necessarily been nice to certain groups, and I don't even want to go there. So if you can stick with this topic and be respectful, then we will go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
Real quick, Sonny, what was the topic or question you had?
How can non-religious people live with religious people?
Okay, all right. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I have to ask, can I believe that you are going to hell?
Sure, you can believe that.
Yeah, because I believe you're going to hell. And the thing is, if we are talking about religious freedom, how could we exercise religious freedom without actually speaking it? That's kind of my question.
You want me to go?
Go ahead. You go ahead, Oz.
I've never met you before. I've never talked to you before, and this is where I'm point blank, bro. I was a Christian for 30-something years. Do you think I care whether you think I'm going to hell or not?
What?
Do you think that I care whether you think or have an idea that I'm going to go to hell?
How do I know if you, unless you give me an answer? I'm just asking. Because some people say that it's, for example, I used to go to different shows, and they used to say like, "Oh, how could you believe that even though I'm a good person, which they are not, no one is righteous."
Okay, so let's stop. Let's stop. I don't want to get off track here.
How?
Hold on.
Okay.
I don't want to get off track. So
They
I'm going to
say
jump
that
in.
even
Hold
though
on.
we
Hold
are
on, Emmanuel.
Bro,
I'll mute you.
Bro, hold on, because I don't want this to go off track and you monologue for 30 minutes where we're trying to catch up with you. So let's do this.
Oh, hold on a second. It looks like he went. Did he go away? Looks like he might have dropped.
Yeah, I'm not doing. I mean, if you want to make claims of hell, then let's just get down to that. We can do the epistemology on that. That's easy to dissect. But I'm not going to let you just ramble for 30 minutes. We're not here to talk about that.
Yeah, it looks. Oh, wait a minute. Here he is. Hold on. Is this the same? Is this the same Emmanuel? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, I hear kind of the weird noise in the background. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Oz. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me, Emmanuel?
Uh,
Check 1, check 2. Can you hear me?
It looks like he keeps dropping or something keeps happening. It looks like he's in there twice now. We will just go on for right now. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Maybe if yeah, he's gone. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I don't know.
The direction it was going, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Maybe it's God telling him he's going to end up being a lost cause. And,
God takes the phone.
Yeah, go ahead. Where were you going with what you started to say to him?
Yeah, so it's first of all, do you think that I should care that you think that I'm going to hell? First of all, do you think that I should lose sweat over that? So that's the first thing. And they're going to say yes, right? Because that's your eternity, separation from God. And now you're going to be, but here's where it gets disgusting, right? Because now we're going to leave the supernatural, and we're going to become abusive. And it's, well, that means you don't get to see mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa. Now I care, because now you're threatening me with an idea and a belief to deceive me, to manipulate me, to try to make me believe what you want me to believe. And when I ask you for good reason, just like you did the last caller, Sonny, two or three different times, what is the good reason? What are the convincing reasons on why I should believe that the idea of this hell place is real? You cannot give us a single mother thing. And yes, I bleeped myself.
You're awesome. I don't believe it, but Emmanuel is back.
Oh God.
Okay, we will give it one more shot. And I don't think it's his fault, and it's not our fault. I think his internet is weird, but this time he says why Christianity is a very good faith. So
What?
Okay. So
we'll give you one more
as
shot.
long as I'm not okay, my question is, as long as I'm not harming anybody, why can't I believe what I believe? That's my question.
You can believe whatever you want to believe. That's fine.
Do you
So
hold on? Do you tell people that they're going to go to hell?
No, not on day-to-day life. I don't.
But in principle, like if you're having a conversation with somebody that they don't believe in the book you believe in, the ideas you believe in, the religion you believe in, do you share the position that they will ultimately go to hell?
No, because I only tell them what I think the way is to escape that punishment, but I don't tell them out of the bat that they're going to hell. I was saying previously was, as long as, like, if you don't believe, how are you going to heaven? If you are not going to heaven, you're going to hell.
So this is the same impasse. This is the same impasse. You keep using the word think. I don't care what you think, bro. I don't give up what you think. Please demonstrate to me that there is a hell or even a heaven. I'll give you the bright side, that there's a hell or a heaven, that myself or Sonny or however many others that are atheists, we don't believe in this, that we are going to end up in one of those two places. If there's not evidence for it, there's no reason for grown adults to be talking about these imaginary places.
Okay, so when we experience life, don't we have a positive experience and a negative experience within our lifetime? We experience happiness, sadness.
Okay, are you going to answer? Are you going to answer my question? Are you going to answer my question?
Yeah, I'm saying this is the indication of heaven and hell. That's what I think it is.
That's not what I asked for. Are you going to answer my question? I asked for evidence, clear evidence that there is a heaven and or a hell. Not an indication, not an idea, not that you think, because that's the word you keep using. Not that you think. I don't care what you think. Is there clear evidence or good reason for us to believe this? Yes or no?
Yes, there is.
Okay, what is that?
I mean, if you look at the New Testament, for example, the New Testament in 1 Thessalonians 1 and 10, it talks about the wrath of God. 2 Peter chapter 2, it talks about wrath of God again. And there are different places in the scripture where it talks about resting with God.
Okay.
So we know that those two realities, you have to accept my premise first.
Hold on. You're still not answering the question. And I'll ask once, maybe two more times, and then I'll shut up. Do you have direct evidence or good reason that I should not just think, but know that if my pitiful atheist soul does not serve God, that I'm going to go to hell for eternity? Do you have good reason or good evidence to believe that? Other than going to the Bible, because we want to get into that.
I don't think I have accepted the scripture, but if we agree that the scripture is valid, you have to start with the premise of the scripture is correct. We can agree what is the claims in the scripture.
I hear you. I hear you. You're just going to keep going back to the Bible and point to the Bible. And see, this is low hanging fruit, bro. This is low hanging fruit. you know how many people call into call-in shows and it's circular reasoning. The Bible it says it's true, so it has to be true. But what actually, you haven't even done the research, because the Bible doesn't even talk about an actual hell. The Bible doesn't talk about sending people to heaven. So if you've actually done your research, you would know that you called into the wrong show, because I've actually studied this more than you do, and you have, and you're so far off base that you have no clue. And I'm done.
Now, what I will say is, do you have any extra
But
biblical
I have
evidence?
studied the scripture for years and years.
Oh,
I've
okay,
studied
okay,
both
okay.
Old and
Hold
New
up.
Testament.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I get that. Do you have any extra biblical evidence?
Yeah, for example, our conscious guilt is an example of God putting a judgment on us. And
Okay,
that
okay,
is a psychological thing.
okay, hold on. So the feeling of guilt is evidence that a God exists, okay? Let's just, for the sake of argument, say that that's true. How would we know that it's the God that you're following?
Because if you look at all the other gods, it is like you could tell that from reading other holy books
And
and from actually studying other religious books. You could tell that they're mythology and there's no way of possible demonstration except Christianity.
I think that's interesting. There's a lot of people who I know, and I did the same thing when I left Christianity. One of the things that a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people tend to go to is Eastern traditions like Buddhism or Taoism. And the reason why is because it talks about, being good to other people. And there's that feeling of guilt that you can have. Um, I don't buy what you're saying. And it actually, I would say Buddhism makes a heck of a lot more sense than Christianity does. So I don't agree with what you're saying. If I was to actually sit here and say that there was a God and that my sense of guilt is proof of that God, I sure wouldn't think it would be the Christian God that would be doing that, because he doesn't. If you were to look at the Bible and actually read, like you were saying, that shows me that that's nothing but a mythology, because it also talks about talking snakes and talking burning bushes, and a man who walks on water, and walking zombies. What was it, 100 or 500? How many of them were all walking around? I mean, there's all these different things that say to me that's mythology. And yet when I look at Buddhism, I I see other I mean, if you there's some interesting things there too, but it sure as heck isn't like that. So I don't buy that. Can you give me something else?
Uh, Absolutely. For example, what I would take is, for example, when you make a decision of like, whenever I want to decide or which path that I need to take, like a choice for my life, I always consider what could be the positive benefit and what could be the possible loss. So if I take up your
Mhm.
worldview and I say that there is no deity or the Christian God is incorrect, which like I don't even know how to say it because I've studied scriptures through it all. And if I just start denying that, and let's say that that happens to be true, then I'm damned. But if I am a Christian and I believe Christ Jesus, that those things that I believed on, let's say they're not real as I thought it was, there is nothing that I lose. There's nothing that an atheist could benefit that theist is not benefiting out of. But there might be a possibility where agnosticism and skepticism could get you lose your eternal inheritance. Uh, and a theist might be correct, so that will be my answer.
So Pascal's wager, right?
Exactly.
I mean, if I was to go with Pascal's wager, then let's see. What if God is a a different God? What if it's the Muslims, Allah is the actual true God? And if I would have just believed in that one, maybe I wouldn't have lost my, what did you say, eternal, oh, you called it something. Anyway, um, what if you're wrong? What if you should actually be following Allah? Maybe you need to go read the Quran. Maybe that's the true
Assalamu
one.
alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, I was not born in America, so I know 40%, more than 40% of my country is I know people who teach Islam. I am 100% sure there's not even 0.5% that it could be true. You could tell that those are just, I think, the idea, you have lived in America, and since Christianity is the dominant one, I know it's very compelling. Like, there are different cultures that you've never experienced, but I have lived with Muslim people for a lot of years. So those things don't actually compel me because I know what the claim is. And even their ways of salvation, I know the history of how it came about,
Okay.
how
So
they
I would have
expanded
thought
their theology.
before this gets way off track, and you explaining where you come from, and I appreciate whatever, but let's get to the topic. Right? You said you 100% know something.
I'm sure that those books can't be true. There are mythologies, like even I know
No. I want to deal with facts. I want to deal with facts. The fact is, you said you know 100%. That was your words.
Yeah,
not
I'm
mine.
100% sure
You
that's
know
not a true faith.
100%. You know 100% for sure that one book is incorrect and the other is from an epistemic position. I want to know how you, of all of the other humans that I've talked to and I've had this conversation with, how do you know 100% that you were right and the other millions of people are dead wrong? I'll give you 20 seconds.
For example, they claim that there's only one creator, which we also believe in, and they say that it can't have children, it can't bore, it's impossible, so there's limitation to their creator. The second will be they believe that even the people who are not following this specific theology, they have a chance of inheriting, the kingdom of their God. How could that be the case if they claim to be exclusive? So there's a logical inconsistency when you see what they are promoting. So I think that is pretty much fair to say that they don't even have a chance that it could be true.
But what about those that hold that belief that say the same thing about you? They say the same thing about you and those that hold your belief. They say they have this, they're passionate about it, right? They're convicted. They believe that your book is incorrect and inaccurate and does not hold the truth. What about them? How do we know whether you're lying or they're lying? How do we know that you're not on something or they're not on something? Like, how do we divide, man?
Well, I believe in having a freedom of belief, so they are entitled to believe whatever they want.
That's not what I asked.
As long as they're
No,
not
you're going off
harming
something else.
others.
You're going off on something else. I'm not talking about freedom of belief. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm asking is, how do we separate? What is the divide? You're saying that they're inaccurate, right? Their book, their ideas are inaccurate. But I've talked to many, many Muslims that say the same thing about Christians, that they are so far off that they're lost in the sauce, right? They're gone. So I want to know from you, how do we divide that? How do we separate that? And how can you communicate to Sonny and I that you hold the truth and the God that you serve is the one true God?
just compare what I say and what that guy say, like a guy that believes in Islam, you could tell that by the doctrine that I speak, the epistemology that I use, the thoughts that I share are very consistent with the apostles'
I don't
doctrine.
look. Did
But
you?
There
that's
is nothing that I say
Did you
that is
not?
contradictory to the scriptures.
And again, I'll say this, and Sonny, I'll shut up. I
no,
don't know
you
if
go
you
ahead.
heard me earlier. I don't know if you heard me earlier. I don't care, right? And I'm on someone else's platform, so I'm not going to be as blunt as I would on my platform. I don't care what you think. I don't care what your idea is. I don't care what you believe to be true. The only way I'm convinced or swayed one way or the other is when you actually have evidence, when you have reliable evidence or good reason to believe something is true and or accurate. I don't care about your anecdotal BS. I want evidence and I want good reason. That's it.
And see, so Emmanuel,
You
before
just
you
use
answer
that
him, and
scripture
Emmanuel,
argument.
before you answer him, we've been on this call over 15 minutes. And I don't mind us going a few minutes longer, but you need to listen to what Oz just asked you, and you need to actually give us something besides listening to your opinion, something from the Bible. There needs to be something that Oz and I would be able to say, "Oh, okay, that's why your belief is true." And it's not going to be because it just makes sense to you. And it's not going to be because something is more consistent with the Bible or with any holy text. There needs to be something that would actually be some type of credible evidence that Oz and I can be like, okay, that makes sense to me. So go ahead.
Well, I've had physical. I know that you was like. I hope that you will not say that I have, you know, a problem and stuff, because like I was listening to the previous call. The guy was having was saying that he had a physical experience, but I've had a physical experience. Hello.
Yep, we're here.
Okay, so I've had different physical experiences, like even beyond the claim that the scriptures would have claimed. Like the basic thing that compels me that Christianity is true is my argument from consciousness. So even like there have been years where I never believed in Christianity. Even though I was raised in a Christian household, I just went by my way, and I was skeptical. I mean, I was not an atheist like you guys, but I was saying that maybe this could be a wrong belief, and I was just waiting. I was just going by my way and
So
committing.
this is just more anecdotal. Like, you're not giving us evidence. Like, Sonny was very direct. Sonny was very direct in the expectations on how you needed to deliver an answer. And immediately you go into more anecdotal, personal evidence. That's not what we're looking for, bro. So if you don't have good evidence, good reason to believe, we move on. We move on.
Okay, before you move on, could I just like appreciate for taking my calls and stuff, so that could be my final say, even before like you move on and stuff.
Absolutely. I actually really appreciate that. We know that it wasn't your fault that your call wasn't coming in, so we appreciate you continuing. And you can continue to call in on a, if you want to call in when I'm on again, you can certainly do that. Just remember what we've said. If you want, ask your God, ask him what to say to us that will make us believe. And if your God is real, he would
Well, you
know,
know
and
that
he
I'm a
would.
Calvinist, so I believe everything is upon election and stuff. So you know that that will work in my theology. Okay, but it's fine. I appreciate that. I think the conversation has to be done more and more between theists and atheists. That's why I was calling for freedom of expression and stuff, so that we could have more dialogue. Thank you,
Absolutely.
guys.
Thank you. You have a great Sunday.
Absolutely.
You too. Bye-bye.
Not and yeah, we can end that call, but not just that caller, but for theists in general. And I've said it on Tang, which is now the flavor, for years now. I just need the evidence. That's all I'm asking for. Like, I'm asking for one thing, y'all. I don't care about your personal experience. I really don't. I want the evidence.
Right. I think I really wonder if theists really understand what we are asking for. I don't know that they really understand what credible evidence is.
Well,
You know,
sorry, you go. Sorry.
oh, and I was just going to say, what is not credible evidence is personal experience, any type of scripture, or basically anything anecdotal. It's not going to do it. And one thing I would recommend is think about what would you want a different religion to say to you? What evidence would you that's not even right the way things, because you don't know until the same reason that you don't believe a different religion is pretty much the same reason we don't believe in your religion.
Yeah, it's like like, if anything, that was a perfect example of what the outsider's test of faith does to someone that's not actually willing to examine their faith. Right? That's what just happened. And when you drive down, it's okay. So this person's saying this, you're saying something you're saying the very same thing, but yours is for Christianity. The other person's is for Islam. So how do I, as the non-believer, I'm the neutral party here, right? I'm the neutral party. If anyone has evidence, I wasted 30 years of my life believing in one of these things, right? If one of you has good evidence or good reason, please present it. And guess what we get every time, Sonny? We get anecdotal, personal experience, and circular reasoning. We never get anything external from the Bible.
Right.
And even for me, this is for me, no, but not Sonny, anybody else to do with this channel. I only share my position, but I'm a mythicist. I believe Jesus is a myth, and you can't convince me otherwise. Why? Because there's no good evidence to demonstrate that Jesus existed, right? And until you have that, I'm not listening to your personal reasons or the minimal facts. I don't care about minimal facts. I want evidence. I want a good reason to believe what you're talking about.
Yep. I want to go back really quickly and highlight Native Atheist, his super chat. He gave a whole 20. That's so awesome. And he called us awesome host. What can you say? Gotta love it.
We pretty cool. We pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll do in a pinch, right? Thank you, Native Atheist. We really do appreciate it.
I will say with Sonny and I on Tuesday, you get the sweetheart, and then you get the a-hole.
The sweet and the sour.
Yeah, because that's what, when I was muted, I looked at Jenna. I was like, maybe I need to reconsider my position on call-in shows, because now where I'm at, it's like I can still be respectful, but I don't have patience for the anymore, right? So
yeah, I understand. I still do. I'm still okay with that. I think probably because I see it every day in a way that, I mean, I'm immersed in it. It's not just that as soon as I leave the house, it's there until I get back home. And so my home is kind of my safe place. And having these call-in shows or my own show, which I'll tell you guys about in just a second, those are my outlets to have the conversations that I can't normally have.
good for you.
And so I think that's why, but I get it. I really do. I understand why it's so difficult. I do want to say, Emmanuel, you've always been very respectful. Unlike the previous caller who was just, I don't know. But you were trying, and I've heard you
I
try
do
on every
appreciate
other show too. So, you know,
it's a. Are there any callers on the line right now?
not yet. I would sure
Okay.
love to have some callers.
All right. So before we do, if you don't mind, I would love to turn the tables and ask you a couple questions
Oh, sure.
from where you're at, right? Because
Okay.
we talked about it earlier. Like I'm in a very fortunate position where I can talk my shit, right? And I literally give no Fs no matter where I'm at. You're not there. And there's so many things that play into that. So before I ask you the first question, anybody that's listening now or later, it's okay to not talk about it. It's okay, given the circumstance you may be in or the situation. It's okay. Don't never feel pressured that you have to do this or you're less of a person or whatever. Like, don't do that to yourself. And if anyone's telling you that, tell them to holler at your boy. I'll put them in check in a heartbeat. Right. Not only that, it's also okay to be angry. When you're deconstructing and deconverting, especially if you've spent years in that, you grew up in it, you were indoctrinated, it's okay to be mad.
Mhm.
And it's okay to figure those things out. And there's plenty of people to go to, organizations to go to that will help you through that and figure that out. It's okay to not be okay, right? First of all, I want to say that. But Sonny, for you and others like you, because I don't think this is talked about enough. What does it do to you in the quiet where you're not on YouTube, and let's say you're in your office or your quiet spot, whatever quiet space? What is it that you think about, the what ifs and the how coulds and I wish I coulds and all that? How does that impact you?
Gosh, that's a really great question. So for a long time, it well, gosh, it's such a good question. I went through kind of an angry stage where before I moved back to my hometown and started working in the place that I do, I had a little bit of freedom, a little bit, where I was able to kind of say what I felt, and I was very angry then. And then I moved back, and suddenly I was hit with, I mean, it was major. It was a major shift where I had to recognize that I was not free anymore, and that was a really tough pill to swallow. I had to remove a lot of stuff on my personal Facebook page, and which seems, I mean, we all live in social media now. That, when
Right.
I was younger, that wasn't even a thing, but now it is. And when you have to remove everything, you have to go back for years and years and make sure that everything is gone. Make things private, create an alter ego. That can be it's like a piece of you gets put on a shelf.
Right.
And then with in my job as I'm a director of a nonprofit. That's about as much as I can say. I not only could I lose my job, but there are people that would stop giving to that organization, which means it would impact the children in the community. Because, like I said, I work with children who have been who have experienced maltreatment. So it's I rest on the fact that it's about more than just me. I can put that part on the shelf and continue to focus on the kids, on the work that I do. Not everybody has that either.
Mhm.
Um, I'm very good at compartmentalizing. I have to in my job as well because we have a lot of secondary trauma. And so I have to be able to compartmentalize. But I will say that it becomes very difficult when, even in the spaces that I should feel free, I can't. For instance, yesterday, I have to be careful, but there was a cookout. And in this cookout, there had to be a prayer, Everybody bows their heads and says a prayer. That may not seem like much to some people, and it certainly wouldn't seem like much to the Christian. But for me, it's like, damn, I have to pretend again. It's my Saturday, and I'm having to pretend again. And so when I lower my head, but I don't close my eyes, and I just kind of take a deep breath, and having to do that every single damn day, it's
Right.
frustrating. It's very frustrating. And having people around you, the people that you really look up to and value, are also saying, "Well, that's a God thing. Thank God." Um, you were brought to us straight from the Lord Himself.
Right.
It's like, really, you
Yeah.
know, golly. And it's not even just that. Even those who are not, they don't necessarily have a lot of the Christianity. They may have a lot of other stuff like believing in ghosts or, um, you know, the what is it? The something about Mercury. I can't remember what it is right now. The Mercury is in retrograde. That's what it is. Shit like that. It's like, dang. Can y'all just stop? Stop with the with the crappy.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Whether it's a God belief or the woo, right?
yeah,
The woo type shit, right? And so first of all, thank you for saying. I know I have one more question, but we had a super chat, so I want to make sure you.
yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and get that really quickly. Dan D, thank you. We love you, Dan D. $10. Thanks for the show. Love you all. And little sunflowers. Thank you. I love the sunflowers.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
And so based on that, in your experience, and even obviously very, very relevant because that's like we're talking about like current time. You're still experience those things, and at least you and I have had an online relationship and working relationship for a couple 2 maybe 3 years now.
Mhm.
For those that are maybe let's say deconstructing and or like they're deconvert like they've got to that again that marker in the road, right, where it's like, holy, there's no, why am I doing this, why am
Mhm.
I still why do I still believe in this? Let's say they get there and they're in a very similar position as you are, whether it's career, family,
Mhm.
s- the area they live in, whatever it is, that they can't be the voice all the time. They can be in certain spaces like you are, and I love that you have that, and I love others have that, but they can't do that, especially in their day-to-day lives, their personal lives. Sonny, what would you tell that or those individuals? How would you encourage them so that they don't, maybe don't, but they can escape some of the anger and the bitterness that does come along with that? What would your suggestions be?
Find your community. First of all, know that there's nothing wrong with you. Um, like you said earlier, Oz, it's okay to be angry. You have a right to be angry, and don't let anyone take that and make it some type of a negative against you. Like you don't have the right. You absolutely do. Always keep in mind your safety. Your safety comes first.
Absolutely.
And then in some way, shape, or form, find your community. My community is online. Doesn't have to be that you go off, and you're able to go to some gathering somewhere. Although those gatherings are great, but find your community, find an outlet, talk to somebody, call in, call in here, talk to us. But find a way to have some type of an outlet. I would definitely recommend calling Recovering from Religion
Absolutely.
because that is some professionals that can help you. They can give you a heck of a lot more than I can. Um, and the Secular Therapy Project is also another great thing to do. And then find other ways that you can contribute to this world in a way. give to the Freedom from Religion Foundation, because they're trying to make sure that there's a separation of religion and government. They're working very hard. They're a nonprofit. So think about giving to them. Find something that you're passionate about that doesn't have anything to do with religion, and have that outlet, and have people you can talk to. Great question, Oz.
Absolutely.
We have a
actually,
caller. Okay, go ahead.
can I ask you one more?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Now, even amidst the like you say, going out day to day, and as soon as you walk out of your home, you go to, whether it's the business place, you go to the grocery store, whatever, you're inundated, right? You're inundated with religion, yada yada. Do you regret where you're at?
No. Nope.
Next
Not
caller.
at all. I could never go back to believing anything that doesn't have a good reason to believe. So yeah, excellent questions, Oz. All right. Now we are going to take Mark, him from Australia. He's an atheist. And he says, anger isn't a primary emotion, it's a secondary response. Talk to us about that, Mark.
Hello, can you hear me?
I sure can.
I know this, Mark. I love this guy. What's up, Marky
You
Mark?
do. Hey, long time no see. How you doing, Oz? And Sunny, very good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah, Mark. I miss you. I love you, brother.
Yeah, love you back, man. I wanted to talk about this because I'm one of those sort of unicorns that has been raised in a secular household that sort of I've never been religious ever, and I have to acknowledge the anger coming from atheists, especially the ones that are newly deconverted and deconstructing, as you said. But just for background, my mother was a psychologist, and so I learnt a whole bunch off her. And a lot of stuff I went, yeah, that's terrible, isn't real, isn't true. Grew up, got older, and went, oh damn it, she was right, kind of thing. And coming from a place of having a lot of anger issues when I was younger, due to a whole background. I think that it is true that anger, while it might be a primary response and something that comes very quickly, it isn't an actual emotive response. And when you're looking at anger, it's two sides of the same coin, and that is the fight and flight response. Either anger is the fight part, and sort of flight is the fear part. But when you boil it down, it's all fear. It's all a fear response. And
Yes,
what was useful for me going through some massive anger issues was to ask what I'm afraid of. So, and don't get me wrong, you're absolutely right. It is valid to express anger. It is completely valid to express it. It's just when psychologists refer to it, they call it the anger iceberg. They're sort of saying, what is the other stuff going on beneath it? What is it that is making that anger happen? So when you boil down to it, it usually comes down to sort of either being afraid of something, having some kind of pain response, having some kind of shame response. Some of these things, which are sort of the real primary things that drive us. And so when I'm trying to think of why I'm getting frustrated, why I'm getting angry, I'm sort of like, why am I afraid, and why am I scared, or what am I scared of?
Absolutely.
I think that really helps, kind of thing. It really helps to sort of go, okay, well, and anger, it is a correct response sometimes, and I'm not detracting from, it is absolutely valid. But I think that people sort of get lost in this idea of, well, I'm angry about it, and never actually think about what it is that's sort of triggering that anger. And so I'd like to talk about that for people that may be going through it, that sort of that fear of hell that people experience decades after they'd left the religion, or the fear that they're going to lose all their family and friends, or the fear that, and don't get me wrong, when I say fear, it might not be fear of God. Like, it's not a fear of this thing. It's a fear of all of the consequences of leaving the religion, or that you're going to be dragged back into it, or that you're going to be treated as a horrible person. Yeah, so I want to discuss that. Sorry, I've been talking for like 2 hours. Sorry.
You good, Sonny? You care if I jump in there?
Oh, you go right on ahead.
I don't my ADHD brain. I know I'll lose so much there. But first of all, good, Mark. Good hearing from you again, hearing your voice. And I love everything that you just said, because we kind of discussed it, I think, before you were here, that there's a but you took a deeper dive, so we'll dive deeper. There were there things, me growing up, again, for those just joining us, growing up as a PK or a pastor's kid, were there things that I watched and or experienced that were hurtful, abusive, traumatic, so on and so forth? Did those things happen? Yes, indeed they did. Were those the reasons that I walked away from Christianity, or walked away from faith, or I found myself unconvinced? No. Now, could those abusive or traumatic events been the catalyst to make me question, or draw the question marks, or turn that light bulb on, like I said earlier? Absolutely. And I'll be fair. I'll be fair there. Now, where the anger comes in, and I love that you brought this up, because I'd actually forgotten about this until you said that. I remember when we first started our channel, when it was still the Atheist Roundtable, and Mike and I, Apostle Mike and I, were talking almost every night, and he was amazing in that season of my life, as far as helping me identify, okay, why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? And it wasn't until one night, like, all the light bulbs again went on, not off, went on in my head. And I was like, I'm actually not angry about, in this this context, I'm not angry about the God idea. I'm angry because I can't tell my family how I feel. I can't tell my family where I'm at. I can't tell my family that I don't believe, because I already know what's going to happen. It's going to be the onslaught. Well, then you're going to go to hell. You're going to be separated from your mom and your dad and your grandpa and your grandpa and your brother and so on and so. You're going to be separated from them simply because you don't believe what the rest of the effing family believes, right? That's where that anger and that bitterness truly lied. And it wasn't until the focus or the spotlight was put on that I realized that I have to deal with me. I have to deal with me, because I can hold on to what mom thinks and brother thinks and grandma and grandpa thinks, and I can hold on to that until the day I die, right? But that probably means I'm going to be miserable. But I had to identify the actual root of my anger and bitterness is I was losing my family. I was losing my community, my people, right? And I had nowhere else to go. I had nowhere else to go, no one else to talk about. And then all of a sudden, I find this community online where I'm like, hold on, because I thought I was all alone, right? I thought I was doing this all by myself. And I found this community where it's like, and shout out to Neil, the 604 Atheist, it was one of the first channels I found. And I was like, hold on, there's other people that are going through the same I am? That like real time right now are going through this? And that relieved so much of the pressure, right? And I'll try not to be much more long-winded here, but what you proposed deserves a proper response from me. It wasn't until I identified that I don't have to live up to mom, dad, brother, grandma, grandpa's expectations especially when it comes to a belief, an idea. It wasn't until then that I realized that I don't have to. My happiness does not have to be tied to their opinion and what they think of me. And it wasn't until then, in that regard, that I said, F it. F it. You either are going to love me for who and what I am, or you don't. And that's your decision. And you can welcome me and love me and embrace me no matter what, or you don't. But that does not mean that I have to live in this hate, in this bitterness, in this world of unhappiness. And that's where I drew the line. And after that, that particular hate, like, ceased. Like, at that point, it dissolved, because the root of it wasn't the religion. It wasn't the actual religion. It was how the people involved in the religion were going to, what I thought, or how I thought they were going to treat me and respond and react. So I'm done. Sorry, that was very long-winded.
No, that's okay. I love that you shared that, Oz. Was that an accurate? Was the mental image that you were so afraid of, was that an accurate image, or were you sort of catastrophizing a bit? Did your family accept you more than you thought they would, or was that something that did come to be accurate?
I can tell you that, especially since my mom's passing 2 years ago, the relationship with my family now, because she would, you always have that, like, glue in your family.
Yeah,
And at least we did, in a religious family. I don't know if it's like that for a more secular family. I just maybe that's off base for me to say. But my mom was like the glue. I've had very little conversation with any of my family other than Aunt Kathy since then, especially the religious part of the family. So everything that I feared and that I assumed would be true has come to be true, and has happened, like, almost 100%, unfortunately.
Mm.
And the
I'm really
because
sorry.
you brought up, and I don't want to forget about this really quick. You brought up the fear of hell. Part of my deconstruction is because that was my biggest hang up that I had to go through like 3 years of therapy for, was the fear of hell.
Mhm.
And like, I went and bought every single book that you can think of on hell and people's experience, like their personal experience. God sent them to hell, or the devil sent them to hell. Like I bought all these books, and guess what? Hell never looked the same way, acted the same way, or smelt the same way, in all the books. And that's how I deconstructed my own fear of hell. Is, well, I don't care what what any one person wants to tell me. I want to read, I want to study. And then when I got, talking to like Biddy Buddha, Dr. Josh, others, about where the origins of hell in the Bible, and actually getting to the evidence, I actually realized that there's actually nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, literally nothing. So yeah, and I'm so sorry to hear you went through that, Oz. I know that you had a rough time coming out, and something I sort of say to sort of theists when I'm talking to them is yeah, atheists can be angry, and I think they have a right to be. I can be angry, and I can identify that it's sort of I'm afraid of the consequences of religion for the world. I worry about, well, if this world is supposed to be, apocalypsed by their god, like just destroyed by a god, will they do anything to help if there's, a crisis on? And I think from sort of the COVID response, we can actually, I shouldn't bring that up on YouTube, but a lot of people didn't do enough in a crisis, basically, and sort of pretended it wasn't there, or said, we trust in a deity to save us from crisis. And that makes me worried. It does, there's that fear that when humanity needs to stand together, there'll be a bunch of us sort of standing over here praying about it instead of actually doing something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of makes me a little angry. Sure. Yeah. We're all working so hard to save our world and our species and our environments and our all these things, and there's a bunch of people sending hopes and prayers, and that makes me angry. And that's because the fear is that we've got all these problems, and there's just a bunch of people who are well, they're not even trying. Let's face it, they're just putting the responsibility in the hands of something that I don't even think exists. So yeah.
Yeah, and I talked for like an hour. So Sonny, you please just tell me to shut up.
I will never tell you to shut up. I have to say in the chat, Doorknob Head was very, very true. He said, "Hell, is your cat making a mess during a live stream?" Y'all just don't even know.
Yeah, I did see that. I didn't want to bring it up. There was something happening with the cat.
I'm sticky. I'm sticky now. It's everywhere. That's okay. My sweet little baby kitty. He just wanted to come and say hello. So yeah. Anyway.
That's why I don't have pets.
Oh, poor little guy. He doesn't understand what he just did. Anyway. I want to say that first of all, Oz, I remember when your mom died, and I remember the difficulty that you were going through. It's so crappy the way things happened, and the one bright spot out of it was the level of support that you received from everyone.
Fuck yeah.
Which
Absolutely.
I
Sorry, I did it. God. See, you got me in my pee-pees. You got me in my pee-pees. Sorry, Wes and Phil. I meant freak yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that was hilarious.
We're talking about anger and what caused it. Of course, we have feelings about that, and that's beautiful thing. One of the beautiful things about you, Oz, is you do share your feelings. You do share how you feel. It's perfectly fine. It's a beautiful thing. Don't ever apologize for that.
That's right. Absolutely.
I love y'all. I love you.
Lots of love. And Aunt Kathy, oh my gosh, she said Aunt Kathy's name, and I was like, oh, I love Aunt Kathy. I miss her. It's been a long time since I've talked to her too. But through that, you also found your relationship, and how wonderful is that? You two are adorbs together. So there are some bright spots. I wanted to say that. It's so nice to see you, maybe not fully on the other side, but at least in a much better place. And I just wanted to say that. I think all of us that know you just wrap our arms around you, and have for the last few years since your mom passed. So
I appreciate
that. The other thing I wanted to say is, as far as what Mark was saying, you're so spot on with what you're saying. I think about how we describe trauma, how the brain responds. Your amygdala is like firing. It's just firing, and everything is all going off whenever you have this fear response, and it often comes out as anger. And so when you see kids who are angry in school, and I've seen it before, they're throwing chairs or whatever, we need to stop looking at it as what the hell are you doing? And instead, oh my goodness, what has happened to you? Let's talk. Let's let me be there for you. And that's a hard thing to for people to understand. So when you see angry atheists, it's the same sort of thing. You're seeing that anger response because of that fear, and that there really is trauma. There is religious trauma. That's a real thing. It's an actual real thing. And I don't think that theists understand that. They don't it's not until you come out that you really see the damage that it's done. And Mark, you are so right that um, there is a lot of cause for concern with the way that our world is with religion. We know that the number of religious people has been declining, but those who are religious are very loud, and they have managed to get into places of power. And so even though the majority of Americans, for instance, I know you're in Australia, but uh, the majority of Americans may believe one way or feel one way about any number of topics of issues. It's those people that are in power that really have managed to dictate how it is for the rest of us. And so we end up in this angry position and this feeling of almost hopelessness. Like, how in the world can we fight back against this? I'm just me. I'm just one person. You know, how can I fight back and keep the few rights that I still have? And then you also think about, you have kind of that guilt response because you're not living in, you know, Afghanistan or one of those places where you really you have lost you never had any rights to begin with. And so um everything that you guys were talking about, even though I was dealing with my kitty issues, I had a lot I wanted to say on that. So I want those are the only things I really wanted to say on that. What a great call, Mark. You've hit so many different things, so many different things for us.
And if I can, and yes, Mark, thank you. If I can hit one more thing, maybe Mark, you again, we'll reverse it. Maybe you have some comments on this. What strikes me as interesting when we talk about now, me thinking about all the conversations we've had tonight, the angry atheists, right? There's a passage in the Bible that talks about Christians having righteous indignation, right? That it's a righteous pissed off. It's a righteous anger. Why are you allowed to have that? Because when it talks about Jesus going into the temple and turning over tables and like throwing shit around and causing a ruckus, we're talking about righteous indignation. Why does Jesus Christ himself, and why are you as Christians encouraged to have righteous indignation, but then just little old, and I'll just speak for me, little old lowly me, the non-believer, the atheist, why can I not have a quote unquote righteous indignation? Why are you only allowed to have that? I think we have a problem there.
I mean, as much as I hate to contradict the Bible,
I know, Mark, you saint.
I don't think that's a good. Well, I don't think that's a good coping response, because this is what I was going to say before I left. Okay, and this is the flip side. Christians get absolutely outraged and mad as well. The good thing is you can do the same to them. You can ask, why are they scared instead of why are they angry? What are they afraid of? Because they're going to be doing exactly the same thing. So in order to cope with some of the fears that they have, or the doubts that, hey, I could be wrong and that scares me, and all of these fears, they're using anger to react to it as well, because that is a natural reaction to it. It's just that, they're saying, hey, it's righteous anger, it's a great thing, and they never look any deeper to say, hey, what is it that I'm afraid of here? Why am I angry? They just say, hey, let's embrace the anger, hold it up as righteous anger, and never question where it's coming from at all. And I don't think that's healthy. I think that's incredibly damaging. So I think that is a place where the Bible sort of gives really bad advice.
No, well said. You said that way better than I did.
Many places.
You also have to think about the fact that anger is a very useful tool for others to use against you. And so it's a motivator. And so religion has they have to have their people angry and fearful. They have to have that persecution complex, because that's what keeps people there. If you're in a state of fear, while at the same time feeling like you're special, that is quite a combination. And I think that it's really what
Mm.
keeps a lot of people there. It keeps them from even thinking about the possibility that what they believe may not be right. Because
Yes.
they're in a state of fear, but also I think in some level they think about, I mean, I think a lot of us did, and you mentioned it earlier, Oz, about the fear then, if I do go here, what does that mean? Will I lose my family? Will I lose my job? Will I, kind of like what Emmanuel said as well, will I end up losing my, oh, what did he call it? I couldn't think of it then either. He said, his inheritance or something like that. His
Yeah, that's a biblical statement. Yeah, losing the
right,
inheritance, the kingdom of heaven, yada yada
the
yada.
kingdom of right. And so all of those
Mm.
are tools. And so when we come out of it, when we have deconstructed and deconverted, we have been conditioned to respond with anger and fear. So
Right.
why wouldn't we?
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah, good point. And I you know, I can't speak to coming out of it. You know, it breaks my heart that people have to go through that. It does, and I see it, and people go, well, why are atheists angry, and why wouldn't they be? I think that is perfect thing, Sonny. Absolutely. I'm going to get off because I could talk to you guys for the hours, and I don't want to, like, you know, have
I
you
love you,
guys,
Mark.
just having me. I love you, man. Like, you take care, and yeah, very nice to meet you, Sonny. All the best. And
Nice to
yeah.
meet you too. Please call in again.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Pete. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. Have a great evening.
Mark-
That
Mark-
was
Mark's-
an awesome call.
Yeah, Mark's good people. Mark's good people.
Oh my goodness, that was great. So I do want to, before we go on, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So I want to say this really quickly. If you like what we do, remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all those good things. Those are free and easy ways to help us continue to do what we do. If you want to do more, consider being a Patreon or a patron and go to our Patreon. I always do that. I call us Patreons. I don't know why in the world I do this.
I just say Patron now.
Yeah, Patron. We're patrons. I do not have our list of current patrons. So while we're getting that up, I will say that we have a major need for volunteers to help us. Oh, we have patrons Sydney Davis Jr., Eric Ozols, Rion, Deneen Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, me, Aaron Coalson, Phil Calderone, and Jamie West. Thank you guys all, because you are helping us to continue doing what we do. And if you would like to help in a whole other way, we need volunteers. We need people to help behind the scenes, call screeners, but others. We need bookers and all kinds of cool things. So if you'd like to be a part of our team, send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever the hell that thing is, or Instagram, or Threads. We're now on Threads. Give us, I don't know how much longer we're going to be on Twitter, but or X, whatever. But we're on Threads, so go there. And if you like what you saw today, remember that we also have a whole bunch of other shows. We have Wednesday nights at the Secular Soapbox. We have Thursdays with me on the Sunny Spot. We have Saturdays, the Global Atheist and Women Atheist Unload. And then, of course, on Sundays, we have Let's Talk. And you will see me not only on Thursdays, but you can see me sometimes on Women Atheist Unload, and of course here. So you'll get plenty sunny. Plenty sunny. Isn't that cool? We also really want you to remember that we don't care if you are a theist. We don't care whatever you are. We simply want to bring the discourse up. We want people to be thinking a little bit more. If you have a belief, that's fine. But tell us why, or think about it. Think about why. So yeah, before we jet on out of here, Oz, what's going on with you? Why don't you tell everybody A, where they can find you, and B, what you got going on?
I'll do. Can I have like 2 or 3 minutes to explain something real quick?
You absolutely
Real
can
quick,
have as long as you like.
So there's a natural progress, but let's call it evolution, right? And I said earlier, and I mean it still. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be angry. Like, and you're going to go through different stages, right? Where you think you're okay, and all of a sudden you're not okay again because maybe something triggers something, and all of a sudden you find yourself right back in that state. That's okay. Like, that's okay. And the first thing I want to say to that is, please find a secular therapist and have someone to, and I mean it when I say it. Talk therapy is number one, but literally have someone to hold your hand through that. And that's not a demeaning thing, like we're children or anything, but just to gracefully hold your hand and walk with you, not walk you through it, but walk with you through that. Like, have that. And if you're in a spot where you can't find a secular therapist, at least have a friend, a contact, something that can help you do that. Because there's a little bit of that anger that my own personal opinion is, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away because you're always going to feel like you got lied to. You're always going to feel like somebody scammed you, right? And so there's always going to be that little pocket of what if, and you're angry about that. And then for me being 5 years, whatever now, into not believing, I can also tell you that you may hit a spot where I can't keep having these conversations. And this is just me being 100. I can't keep having these conversations because I always feel like I'm having to defend myself or defend my friends or defend the people I love and that I care about. And I can only speak for me. It made my anxiety go through the roof. I can tell you right now that there was more for a period of like 4 months. I cried myself to sleep more than I went to sleep peaceful, because I cared about the conversation and I cared about the people involved in defending those that I love and that care about, that are also in this minority group, right? That we're in. And I cared so much that I cried myself to sleep. And I had to come, again, therapy, talking, all of that. I had to come to know that I have to be happy first. And I'm not helping anyone. I'm not helping anyone if I'm going to bed every night in tears, or I'm waking up the next morning anxious, like crawling out of my skin. And being so I'm diagnosed bipolar 1, which I talked about on our channel all the time. So I have no problem saying that. So I'm a very black and white thinker. I want to defend. I'm a loyalist, right? And I want to do that. But it was a very hard lesson for me to learn that I have to take care of me first. And I have to tend to me first. And since doing that, what was it, babe? About 3 months ago, whatever, 3 months ago, we made a decision collectively, Jen and I. We're going a different direction with our channel simply for our mental health. That's it. Simply for our mental health. And since then, we've been so much more peaceful and so much more productive and so much more efficient in what we're doing. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody, but I just want to put that out there because there's some people that, whether it's now or 2 years from now, 3 years from now, maybe you remember this conversation. You don't have to walk the walk just because other people want you to walk the walk. You do you. You do you. And whatever makes you happy, be the most authentic, real version of you that you know how to be, that you can be. And that's all anyone should expect from you. And if they expect anything less than your best, tell them to move on along the way. So that was my sermon. Where can you find where can you find me? You can find Jen and I now on the Flavor, which is formerly Tang. And really now at this point, it's all I've put all the focus, all the energy on my music, my DJing, all that, because that's what makes me happy. And I've chosen to do what makes me happy. Again, being here tonight, obviously I'll still have these conversations, but it cannot be, for me, it can't be the main focus all the time. Do what makes me happy. So you can find us on the Flavor. And in about a half hour, I'll be streaming. I just did a DJ battle on Friday night. I'll be reviewing the DJ battle, and then we'll be mixing some music, doing some mashups. If you want to catch us, just have fun. Yeah, that's what I'm doing now. But I love y'all again. Thank you for the invite, and that's the end of my sermon. Let the church say amen.
Amen. It's way too easy for me to do that, dude.
and Sonny, I love you. I love working with you again. I appreciate you. I miss you.
I miss you too. It was really nice when Wes said he was going to ask you. I was like, oh, let's keep our fingers crossed that you can do it. I know I totally understand what you're saying. And I also understand with Jena, you guys have to do what you need to do, what's right for you. And if you never come back on in this type of a format, that is okay. If you or Jena ever need anything or want to talk, you just reach out. I'm always here. And you have a whole lot of people that just adore you both. Just love you with all we got. So thank you so much for coming on. And to all of you, we feel the same about you. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be in the place where you need to be. This has just been a really good show. Thank you, Oz. I appreciate you. For everyone else, check us out again next week. And remember, always think critically. Good night.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.